So Mike's video of love has inspired me. I thought for the briefest of moments that it was going to be a video about the Beatles. Like, I, fingers crossed, hope against hope, that we were just going to talk about the Beatles. But alas, no. It was about how the Democrats just hate and destroy. I got a yes and that. Yes and. Yes and meaning I agree with what the noble man of Maine says. And two, let me give you some direct experience. So down here in Florida, we have laws and everything that permit people to carry firearms on their person. Okay, funny that laws permit such a thing. I like to think of it as the laws prevent the government from interfering with it, but that could just be, some of y'all know me well enough, that just could be the delusion I use to keep myself from being so angry the way that World War Audacity is all the time. Because I don't want to be an outlaw. I don't want to be, if I'm being moral, I don't see why I should have to be an outlaw. But here we are. This story, though, is about something different. I was working at a Chevrolet dealership, and one of the guys that worked there was actually he was a United States resident. However, he was a Canadian citizen, down on like a long ass term work visa. I mean, essentially, the guy is an American, but born in Canada, very liberal and Democrat leaning views. And there's a certain surreal irony when you're armed and people around you are having discussions about firearms. Now, down here you get this weird excitement and zeal towards people that just received their concealed, and they want everybody to know it, and they talk about it, and they may show it, and blah, blah, blah. Then on the other hand, you get liberal democratic people who start talking, thinking everybody thinks and it is the same way they are. So he's talking, and he's talking about firearms and how one of my coworkers had offered to take him shooting, and he kind of went on to how he feels that sort of thing isn't really right, because there's all these situations to where he gets so angry in a conversation. He literally said that if I had a gun, I would have blew that motherfucker away. Now, how can one say, like, over a verbal altercation, you're going to get so mad that you draw your lethal firearm and you end a person's life because of an angry verbal disagreement? Now, your mileage may vary, but my opinion, and I'm a bit of a liberal myself, but I don't think that's a death sentence. Screaming at somebody for driving poorly is not a death sentence, and getting into a disagreement about politics or culture shouldn't be a death sentence. It's not a death sentence. But in his mind, he possesses these feelings of anger and hatred. Psychologically speaking, no, I'm not the psychologist, Shafe is, we project our beliefs and feelings onto others. So naturally, here he is going around thinking everyone lives with that same anger that he possesses inside. I can't claim this as being fully my own theory. This particular individual helped me to realize it, but it was Penn Jillette. You guys remember the magician from back in the 80s and the 90s? Like, he does this podcast. He's like a hardcore libertarian, and he talks about how like this Democrat and liberal mindset, fantasizes and visualizes violence almost constantly, whereas I personally don't. Penn Jillette claims to not. You know, and to me, maybe if you are one who constantly visualizes violence and does these fantasies about hurting other people and they disagree with you, maybe you shouldn't have a firearm. You know, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe it should be left to people that don't fantasize about sick shit like that, you know? But that's up to the individual, I think. All right. That is all. Good video. Thank you. And thank you for keeping the, I don't know if we call it the campfire that the Great White Stoke talks about. Thanks for keeping our circle jerk kindled in this little campfire. All right, my man. Catch you later.